because I don't even really know this chick. She's in my house. She's dying on my couch. So there's a knock at my door, and I don't want to answer it because I don't want anyone to see what the hell's going on. I'm like in a state of shock at this point.
Right.
So I answer the door, and it's the girl's grandma looking for her.
Hey, this is Matt Cox, and I'm here with Josh. Josh actually runs a prison channel called DOCTV813, and he's from Tampa. Did you grow up in Tampa?
Yeah, I was born in Tampa.
Yeah. And so we're doing an interview. All right, so it's not.
That's what we're doing.
That's it. It's not. There's not a lot that goes into my intro. All right, so what you were born? Well, basically, you were in prison for what?
Total of 6 years. I went to prison twice. So, okay. And then a bunch of times in county jail and a couple juvenile programs that I went to. So yeah, it's been a glorious life, man.
Yeah. All right. So you were born in Tampa.
I was born in Tampa. Yeah. So I was born in Tampa, and my mom and dad never married. It was a pretty rough from the beginning, you know what I mean, with them. And then they separated, and my mom started drinking a lot. She is an alcoholic. So, you know, my dad was working, trying to build a business. They're not together. And I ended up with my grandparents. And they raised me for pretty much my whole life. My dad died when I was 7. My mom never stopped drinking from the time I was 2. So I went to live with my grandparents like pretty much permanently. You know, she would come in and out of my life at some points, and I would go live with her for a couple months, but then, you know, shit would go crazy. And that's really like when I became exposed to like chaos, you know, like domestic batteries and shit like that.
So, all right. Well, where did you go to school?
I went to school in Pasco.
All right. And when did you, I mean, you already said juvenile facility. So, I mean, I'm assuming you basically were getting into trouble from the very get-go.
Yeah, man. It happened from a pretty young age. So the first charge I ever caught, and before I get into that, like, I don't know what made me start getting in trouble. I don't know if it was because I saw the shit I saw with my mom, or it was almost like I was addicted to the chaos, I guess, in a weird...
Well, you're also, if your grandparents are probably, at that point, you're young, they're still, what? I mean, it's hard for them to keep an eye on you, right?
Yeah, they were pretty young, but yeah, like there was nothing they could do once I decided to really go. You know what I mean? But so yeah, I was 12 years old. I'm in 6th grade. Me and a kid, it was one of my good friends growing up, like, you know, in elementary school. He gets off at my stop at the bus stop, and, you know, we had got some weed from a high schooler because the schools were connected, and we went and we smoked some weed and we got high. And as we're smoking the weed, like, he pulls out a handkerchief, and I was like, "What's that for?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm hitting houses." And that's how I had my fingerprints, like putting it over your hands. So he was like, I'm like, "What?" So he's telling me about how he's robbing houses. And I'm like, well, shit, bro, this sounds easy the way he's talking about it. So he's like, "You want to hit a house?" So we end up hitting this house. It was an ex-Tampa Bay Buccaneers that lived in my neighborhood. We knew his son, but we didn't really like him. So with that day when we're smoking, we're like, well, dude, this kid's dad, his parents got money. He was an ex-Buccaneer. We don't really like the kid. We know he's not at home right now. We know his parent, you know, so we end up hitting the house, and we stole guns, ammunition. We stole over $10,000 in jewelry. So that charge.
And you're at 6th grade. So you're what, 12, 13?
Bro, the money that we stole the jewelry, and his sister pawned them, and we got the money. So I'm in 6th grade in the cafeteria buying like girls' chip burgers and freaking ice cream sandwiches, thinking I'm like this pimp, bro. So, but yeah, so as you know, though, in Florida, the laws are fucked up. So when I got caught for the robbery, when we stole the ammunition, we armed ourselves in the process of a burglary. So now I just turned...
Okay. For the burglary. All right.
For the burglary, yeah. It would have been like a regular burglary, like of an occupied or unoccupied. But since we stole, you know, gun and ammunition, they bumped it up to armed burglary, which, you know, that's a serious charge. Right. That's a PBL in Florida. So, and then we stole over $10,000 in jewelry. So we got a grand larceny charge. I'm in 6th grade. Detectives.
How'd you get caught?
Okay, so remember when we were smoking the weed, he's hitting other houses. Well, he got caught for one of those houses, and it all matched the same MO. he got busted, and you know how that goes. So, so
Josh.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm in 6th grade. I look across out of my science class, and there's detectives arresting the kid I robbed the house with. So I was like, oh man, they're coming for me. So I walked all the way home. I get home. I call my grandfather. I'm like, they're coming. And they end up coming to the house. They're knocking on the door. I hide under the bed. He's like, don't answer the door. They get me an attorney. And I end up getting felony probation until I was 18 for that charge. And I had to pay restitution and do all the little, you know, jump through the fucking hoops they make you jump through.
How old were you?
I was 12 when I caught that charge.
You were on probation from 12 to 18.
Yeah, to an adult. And I had to complete a bunch of other stuff. So needless to say, I didn't complete that. And then if I would have, it wouldn't have been on my record. But now, you know, obviously it is.
Yeah.
So, you know, after that, I kind of stopped, and it scared me. And, you know, I did good for a little bit. And then I eventually, like 13, 14, I started, you know, I don't know what it was with me, man. Like I always had an attraction to bad shit. Like I didn't, you know, watch, you know, Steve Urkel. I was watching Scarface, and I was like, that's the kind of fucking life I want. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that never happened. So, so yeah, I just started like, you know, making bad decisions, man, and getting in fights at movie theaters, turned into violating probation for battery. You know, just a bunch of other like stupid charges, but it all stemmed back to a big charge, which was the armed burglary. So I ended up having to go to a juvenile program whereas really like I got a taste of what like being locked up was. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I've heard the juvenile program. Every time I've ever talked to anybody about the juvenile programs, the like the facilities are horrible.
Yeah,
horrible. I mean, that's what everybody's. I don't know how yours was, but everybody I've talked to has been like, oh, they're like gladiator schools. They're just fights all the time, and it's
yeah. You're fighting like 24/7, especially when you get there. And then, you know, kids are stupid, so they're like sticking broomsticks up kids' asses and shit when they're fighting them. So just like a lot of crazy shit. And it's like, you know, when you're young and you watch that, you almost get desensitized to the violence because it just becomes like an everyday thing. So it almost like it conditions you to be the convict the state wants you to be. You know what I mean? It
turns you into a little monster.
Yeah, like a little heathen. So, you know, I went in there, I did what I had to do to survive in that place. And I got out. And even after that, man, like I never really wanted to change. There was this point when I was like 18, 19 that, you know, I was already selling weed. So I have a partner that we're selling weed. We're skipping school. We think we're fucking Pablo Escobar and shit. And, you know, his dad was like hooked in with this like biker gang. So he was like, man, why are y'all making that little money selling weed when you could be doing this? So
that's someone's parent.
Yeah, that was my boy's dad. Yeah. So check this out.
You guys aren't doing it on a big enough level. That's your problem. That's what your guys are doing wrong. You're not at the high level.
Yeah. And when you hear the story, and I'm telling you, like, wait till you hear what happened. So he put us in with this doctor. He said, you know, go in this doctor's office. You're going to tell him this, this, and this, and he's going to give you this, this, and this. And then you're going to bring it back to me. I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to give you money. You know what I mean? So really, it was like a selfish need for the dad, I think. Yeah. So we end up doing it, and we get these scripts. We're getting, like, at this time, it was like Vicodin. It was like, you know, Xanax. And
what time frame was this? What year was this?
This is when this was like 2002, 2001, 2003, around that area.
So there's pill mills, but they're not really clamping. They're not clamping down on them yet. They're just starting to blossom. This
was like before there was pill mills. There was this like infamous doctor in Pasco, Dr. Corbathina. And he had 2 offices, and he was already a pill mill before anyone had ever heard about pill mills. You know what I'm saying? So we went in and we started getting prescriptions. We started selling them. We're still selling the weed. We're making more money. And eventually, you know, my friend starts taking the pills that we're selling, and he starts getting really bad on Xanax. And we would like, this was before pills, when Vicodins were like, you know, wow. Now, you know, it's fentanyl. But so we had all the Vicodin, and we end up getting stronger pills. They were Oxycontin 80s, and they had a coating on them. So, you know, my boy that's popping the Xanax is like, oh man, these are supposed to be fucking crazy. So he ends up taking one. and there's a codeine. It's a time release pill. So he doesn't feel anything in, an hour or two, and we're at a party and he's like, man, these ain't shit. And he starts taking more. And so does the kid that was with us at this party. They lived across the street from each other. Right. So we leave the party. I drive both of them home, drop Joe, he gets out, goes across the street. The other kid goes home and I go home. The next morning, like 11 o'clock, I'm like waking up and I got all these like messages on my voicemail. So I was like, well, damn, I called Joe. He didn't answer. I called the other kid. So I drive over to Joe's, and when I get there, like an ambulance had just left. So the Joe that took all those pills, he died. And so did the kid across the street. They were both taking the pills that night. So I'm sitting in the front of his house with his mom and his dad. His mom's freaking heartbroken. And like the dad's the one that sent us on the mission to begin with. So like, and I know all this.
Right.
So, my head is like fucking going everywhere because I was like my best friend. So it was crazy, man. So that doctor ended up getting arrested. He had Medicaid fraud, Medicare fraud, all a bunch of shit.
What happened with the what's going on? Okay. Sorry. So did the doctor get arrested because of that? He got arrested?
No.
So like the scripts didn't catch up with him.
Yeah, no.
It's just eventually for something else he got indicted and okay.
Right. And it was at this point.
Because now they crucify like that doctor. They would have been a huge investigation. But I mean, I'm just saying. I remember when I was growing up, if you went into the doctors, you said, "Oh, I'm feeling anxious and stressed." Like, they cut your script like nothing.
Yeah.
Now you have to jump through hoops to get a script for anything. It used to be you could walk in and say, "Hey, my buddy's taking so and so, and I have the same kind of issue. Can I get a script for this?" Sure. When you just walked in, they're already pulling out the script. Yeah. They're writing scripts for anything. Xanax, you need, value. What do you need? What's wrong? Okay.
Yep. Now it's
way different.
Yeah. Now people that need it can't get it.
Absolutely.
What I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I used to have a script for Xanax. I went to go get another script. They were like, no. What do you mean no? I used to have a script. Yeah, you need to go. Well, you have to come in. We have to try you on this first, and in 6 months, then come back, and we'll try. Like it was like, well, what do you? You're.
Yeah, they're making you jump through hoops.
Right. Like even though I felt like I need it, So anyway. See, now I'll say that, and now there'll be people in the comment section will be like, bro, I'm going to send you some Xanax. Don't send me anything.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Don't do nothing. I'm good.
So yeah, man, it was at that point really where, when I saw the things with the doctor and the money, and like I said, that was before the pill mills were really bad. And it was at this point that they were beginning to build momentum. You know what I mean? So I just got really in that, man. So I was, going to the doctor.
How old are you at this point?
I was like 21 around there. I was 21. I was with a girl that was like 34, I think, at that time. So now I'm going to the doctor. I have her going to the doctor. So between us, we can make, like $5,000 a week easy, just us going and selling the shit.
Right.
So, then all these people start becoming addicted to pills, like the whole county is a freaking cesspool. So people are sick, and now you have the opportunity because somebody does all their pills and now they're sick and they need more, and they did their whole script in a week. So now what are they going to do? So then they would, call me, and I would front them, 100 pills for 200 back when they go to the doctor. By the time you do that with like 5-10 people, each person, the next thing you know, you have like this pipeline of people that every month are getting, 200 pills worth $15 a piece.
And they know somebody, and they know somebody. And before you know, you're running out.
So now I'm renting a hotel room in Sarasota with like 10 other people. And I'm taking all them to the doctor because we can't do it where we live in Tampa because we already did that like 2 days ago. So now we're on to like the next county. And then I eventually ended up meeting some lady who owned a company, and her son lived in Kentucky. And in Kentucky,
it's
30 milligram oxycodone that's $8 in Florida is $30 in Kentucky because they sell it for $1 a milligram because it's like the hillbilly heroin up there. So now I'm mailing, now I'm driving, now I'm like driving straight through 20 hours just to bring hundreds of pills to get rid of them for more money. And then I eventually got into a car accident. I got ejected from the car. I broke my sternum coming home from a car show one day. And so I go to the hospital and I get painkillers to kill the pain. And then the next thing I knew, like fast forward 6-7 months, now they're have like sunk their claws into me. Like, cause I started taking it for a good reason, but a lot of people don't get that once you do that, you know, you can't just stop.
Yeah, you're locked in.
Yeah, you'll get sick.
Even the medication that helps to get you off of, like Suboxone, you'll get hooked on Suboxone.
Right.
It's less addictive. It's still addictive. You know, I know guys that are like, I got hooked on Suboxone.
Yeah, and that was like,
it's supposed to get you off.
Right, exactly. But that was like 10 years ago. So I would literally walk into one doctor and I would get, 300 oxycodone 30s, 120 Xanax bars, 120 Somas, 240 Oxy 40s in 1 month from one doctor. So when you start getting that, you know what I mean? And you're selling them and you're making money. And then now you're taking them. Eventually, like your habit just goes through the freaking roof. Like if I told you how many pills I've took in one day, you'd probably be like, yeah, right, bro. Right. Like I thought it was cool to say that, you know?
You build up a huge tolerance.
Yeah. So that went on. And, when that happened, man, it just gets dark. Once you're in that game, you start meeting people that, normally you're not going to go fucking chill with, you know what I mean? And so it just, the gangs start coming into play, and then you have now I'm going to jail. So now I'm becoming accustomed to going to jail. The first time I went to jail, I was scared. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be there. Never wanted to go back. But then 10 times later, now I'm walking in and I know the fucking half the pod because I was in here a year ago, and I just became the way of life. And so I was doing the doctor shopping. I'm with the chick that's 34. I'm like 20, early 20s. We were living in Ocala. All the doctors were in Tampa. So I came up with the bright idea. Let's move to Tampa. So we're right near the fucking doctors. We don't got to make this drive anymore. So we did. We find this condo and we move in, and there's no washer and dryer. There's nothing in it. I got to take like 5 people to the doctor the day we move in. So she's there. I leave, pick up all these kids, bring them to the doctor. Like they're like 19-year-old kids. You know what I mean?
This sounds like, and we've talked about it. Like this sounds like the book I wrote, Generation Oxy, on Doug Dodd.
Yeah, I know Doug. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, you knew a bunch of
We grew up in the same town.
Yeah, this is the same thing. He's driving. I'm picking this guy up. I'm dropping this guy. Go get these 2 guys.
It was
everything
crazy.
you're saying is like exactly like his story.
Yeah, it was.
It just keeps getting worse and worse, and people are dying left and right. Like he could name 10 people that he knew that died. Like so and so died, and so and so. These are guys that he knows, just like you.
Yeah, still dying too to this day. So, so we move in, and we don't have anything there. I got to take these people to the doctor. So I do that. It's like 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm coming home. I got a bunch of pills. I'm already on the phone telling my friends like, hey, I got you here. I'll meet you here. You know what I mean? So I get home and she's there with some chick that she had like met that lived in the complex where we were moving into. So I had all these people coming over and I had to leave, and I'm like, yo, who is this chick? Like, you need to get her out of here. And she's like, oh, she's just the neighbor. She's like, she's going to come with me to the laundromat to do the laundry because we didn't have anything in there. So they leave. I do what I got to do. I forget how long went by, probably about an hour or something like that. And they come home, and I can tell right when they walk in the door, like something's off. Like they look like they were either like trying to, like something just, it didn't feel right. So like 5 minutes after they get home, there's a knock at the door, and I'm thinking it's like someone I know coming by. So I don't think I open the door. It's a cop. And he's like, I'm not going to say her name, but where's so-and-so? And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And she's right behind me. It's a little apartment that we're in, a little condo. And when they were out, they went to get something to eat. They rear-ended somebody at a light, and I guess she didn't have a license, and I didn't know that. So they backed up and left. They got the tag. So now they're arresting the girl that I'm with, right? Well, the other girl's there with her. So as she's getting arrested, I'm telling the other girl, like, hey, you need to go home. I'm going to go bond her out. I don't even know I don't even know this girl's name at this point. So she walks off. I go back in the house, call people. Anyways, I had to be there the next day at 6 a.m. to pick her up. So I set the alarm, passed out, took a bunch of Xanax and fell asleep. Woke up, because the phone's going off, and I go out into the living room, and the girl that was with my girl when she got arrested is on the couch, like passed out, like laid out on the couch. And as I walk over to her, there's like all these pills everywhere. So I'm like, in my head, when I saw that, I was like, she tried to rob me and passed out in the process because she was all probably messed up. So I go over and I'm mad. So I like hit her on her shoulder. I'm like, yo, wake up, bitch. Right. So when I do that, she starts going into convulsions, foaming out of her mouth, like literally flopping like violently back and forth, like to the point where I was like, damn, like an exorcism type shit. So I go over to the fridge. I'm grabbing water. I'm dumping it on her. I'm freaking out because I don't even really know this chick. She's in my house. She's dying on my couch. So there's a knock at my door, and I don't want to answer it because I don't want anyone to see what the hell's going on. I'm like in a state of shock at this point.
Right.
So I answer the door, and it's the girl's grandma looking for her. Like, the odds of this, man. So she's on the couch. The grandma sees she's freaking out. She's like, call 911. I had like a little cordless phone. This was back in the day. And I dial like 511. And I'm like, they're not answering. 911's not answering because I don't want the cops there. There's so much shit going on. And finally, I had to call 911 because I don't want this girl to die, but I don't want to go to prison either. Right. So I'm at this like, let her die, go to prison. And, you know, I got something, you know, I'm a good person. I'm not going to let that happen. So they come, they take her in an ambulance. Dude, like literally probably like 10 or 15 cop cars show up in front of my condo. And, you know, they already knew who I was in this town. I'd been arrested 2 weeks prior to this arrest. I was arrested for a DUI. I was in selling pills, pulled up to a light at 2:00 in the morning and fell asleep with my foot on the brake at a light and woke up with a cop waking me up because I'd been out all night.
Not good.
So they already knew me, man. They didn't like me. So when they showed up, it wasn't like, hey, what's going on? It's, hey, motherfucker, we're here. You know what I mean? So all said and done, man, they went in my house. When the girl's being taken away, I tried to pick up all the pills. I literally had so many bottles that I didn't, you know, I'm trying to put them all back in the right one. I missed a bunch. They go around the house. They pick up all the pills they find in the cushions, underneath the coffee table. They bag them all up. They weigh them. Now they charge me with trafficking for every pill they picked up. And there was 4 different traffickings. And as this is all going on and I'm being, you know, told I'm going to jail for, you know, minimum mandatory trafficking charges, they're like, oh, that girl just died too in the ambulance. So I'm like, what?
Did she really die?
No. So so they're playing me now because they think, and they, you know, when cops show up to a crime scene, they do one of 2 things. They form a story on what they think happened after, you know, they talk to everybody and they go with that. That never changes because then they don't want to look stupid. So when they pulled up on my, you know, great day, they came out with the conclusion, we're going to say this dude's a fucking drug dealer. He was selling drugs. This girl came over to buy drugs. He probably, you know, fucked her and she OD'd. Which was what they tried to say. So anyways, they take her to the hospital. She is on life support. So when they said that, it was like a half truth. She goes to the hospital. They book me in to jail. And when I already get to the jail, there's already cameras there, like following me into the jail. I wanted to ask me questions because they were at my house for like 8 hours. So this all was like brewing for this like big case.
Yeah, there's plenty of time for the media to jump on.
Right.
There's a death. There are other.
Yeah. So I go to jail.
Pill mills are just starting to be a big deal.
So this was like one of those cases. Like we're gonna use this dumbass as an example. So she ends up living. You know, I'm charged with the trafficking. They dropped the trafficking down to sales and delivery. This was like, I fought this case for like a year and a half because they were trying to say that I sold her drugs. She OD'd. She woke up from being on life support and said that I told her to leave, and she broke back in my house because she had nowhere to go. And I'm sure, you know, she was looking for shit. You know what I'm saying? So
even if she just stumbled across it, it doesn't matter. You didn't sell it. She broke in.
Exactly. And
so a lot of their case
that
just
was
dropped.
like a thing they couldn't really prove. So when she said she broke back in, they tried to arrest her on burglary. So they were trying to turn us against each other, right? So
trying
she
to get
ends
her
up
into a
moving.
position where she'll say whatever they want.
Yeah.
Right.
So she ended up moving. Never came to any of the things the state wanted her to come to. So it was really like a dead case, but I still, at the end of the day, had pills. Like, I was going to the doctor and they were prescribed, but I had more pills that, that doctor I was going to wasn't. So I had to take the charges for the possessions and the sales charges. So I ended up going to prison. I got 28 months. They first like offered 5, then they, how they do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so I went to prison, man, state of Florida.
How was that?
It was rough, bro. It was rough.
It wasn't
like
Coleman Low. No,
I don't know what that's like, but I don't think it is, man.
No,
like,
trust me, it was. I mean, every story I hear about state prison, even in lower custody, is just like horrible.
Yeah. So the first time I went to prison, it really wasn't bad at all, and I think that's why I went back. When I went in there, I was having a girl bring me pills to Vizzo. I was selling them, green dot money on the way home. So as I'm getting out, I have money, but I'm stupid. You know what I mean? I just wanted to like be a drug dealer. I didn't really have like any other aspirations in my life at that point. I didn't see it any other way until the Florida put in the pill database in effect, which means you can't go to multiple doctors. You can't
doctor shop.
Yeah. So there goes the income that I like planned on having. So I ended up getting arrested again for sales charges and a grand theft and possession charges. And I go back to prison now. Except this time, the first time I went to prison, I was in Orlando, which is a pretty sweet camp in the state system. The second time I went to Gulf, which is in like the panhandle of Florida. And that's really like when I got exposed to like real prison, not, like where you got to worry. Like, there was times when I was there in the beginning, I was like, man, I don't got to worry about an inmate killing me. I got to worry about a fucking guard like stomping me to death in confinement or wherever I'm at. And that's really what's bad about Florida is the guards, man. Like they literally, I've done, episodes on it on my channel. The corruption is just crazy. And then you put a bunch of fucked up inmates in there on top of that.
Right.
It's like a recipe for disaster. And so, yeah, I get to that camp right when I get there. I get off the bus, some fucking hillbilly redneck, about 4 of them, all fat, all obese, can barely talk, 2 teeth between the 5 of them, say, "Welcome to Weewahitchka, Florida, and we gon' hit ya." And I'm looking at myself like, bro, where the fuck am I at, dude? Like the prison looked like Shawshank Redemption.
Right.
Like, one building of that. The women look like men. They all fuck each other. They all live in a trailer park right outside the prison. And you're just like, I felt like I was in like, Boys to the Hood and The Hills Have Eyes, like mixed. Like it was just, I was like, it was a culture shock. Not saying I wasn't in the streets selling drugs and being around, some
but this
gangster.
is some backwoods hillbilly.
Yeah, it's not like it's just it was crazy, man. And then you have the inmates, and now you have to that camp I was at was a violent camp. I think it was like 70% of it was child molesters, murderers, rapists, all the great crimes. Yeah. So I'm there, and it was like a shock, like I'm saying. So I get into a dorm, I'm adjusting. You know how it is when you get in there, you kind of like feeling everyone out. Right. So I get in this dorm and I'm in there and everything's going all right, man. It's a shitty camp. We never go to rec. We're in the dorm all day. And like 3 weeks.
This is still a camp. This is a camp. So.
It's an annex. So in Florida, they have a main unit, an annex, and a work camp. And yeah, in Florida, I think they just call them camps. There's not really
still like prisons.
Yeah, it's not, there's no like penitentiary. I guess FSP would be one, but I don't know. It's a serious prison. Like when I say camp, I don't mean like, like picnic. I mean,
like in a federal camp, most federal camps don't even have fences. If they do, it's a little tiny 5 foot.
Yeah, no, there's gun towers here. There's
okay, so prison. So yeah. You say camp, and I think, oh, it's a joke. It's no big deal. It's,
that's what a lot of people, I feel like when they hear that, they think that. So I'm in this dorm 3 weeks, and they move this black guy into the dorm one day at like noon or whatever. He gets brought in by 3 officers with all his shit, in his bags.
Right.
So they're at the officer station. I'm laid back on my bunk, and right when I saw this dude, like, I don't know, for me, man, like, I could pretty much tell, especially in there, like, if by somebody's demeanor and how they are, if I'm going to like even give them the time of the day to talk and shit. So I could tell he was a booty bandit. And if people don't know what that is a guy that's in prison, usually a guy that's been down a while. Nowadays, though, it's a guy with a fucking year and a day. And they literally walk the compound every day, and they're looking for ass, like, they're chasing ass.
They're looking for
a
punk to fuck.
Do something strange for some change. Yeah. So I could tell this guy was a booty bandit when he moved in. And so when they were at the officer station, they point to the bunk. He walks over. The 3 officers come. He puts his shit in his box out near his bunk. And when he puts all his shit in, he like goes to do something. Those 3 officers go over. They pick his bin up. They dump all his shit out, and they piss all on his shit in the middle of the dorm. So this dude came into the dorm because I was at the annex. He was at the main unit. They transferred him to the annex because he got in a relationship with a female officer, and she was related to all the other officers, and she fell in love with him. And he's a booty bandit, so she don't got to worry about him finding girls. He's fucking dudes.
Right.
So that's what he wanted to do. And so she got all upset about it. He wrote Tallahassee on her and told them that they had a relationship because she wouldn't like leave him alone. Well, now her brother, her cousin, and all the other dudes that work there that are her family, that's why they're pissing on his shit now, because they found out that he did that to their, sister. So I already knew this guy was no good. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a bad thing. So, and now, a couple days have gone by, and now I find out he's not only a booty bandit, he's also a gunner, a mad gunner, bro. Like a fucking sniper.
We just did a video where me and this guy Zach were talking about that. We were talking about gunners.
Yeah,
gunner. I was like, there's a difference. There's snipers and there's gunners that'll get right up on you.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway,
so I don't even really like talking about this stuff, but you'd be surprised. Like if I talk, like we were talking about this. Yeah. If I sat up here and talked about, I don't want your 14-year-old to go to prison, and here's why. Yeah, and now I'm going to tell you a story right now in our interview, and more people are going to listen to it and watch it. Yeah. And I don't know why, but this is the story. So the dude's a gunner. All right. He's like fucking fanatical with it. Like he's at the water fountain. He's in the shower at one time every day with, it's like a regimen they're on. It's fucking nuts. So, I'm watching, you're in the dorm, people are talking, you're watching this fucking dude.
Yeah.
So I'm like, don't like this dude. Right. So this is my luck. And it's always been like this for me. Like I always run into one dude in the dorm that I just can't stand. And usually they take care of themselves and end up crashing out. But so, they end up moving me into a quarter bunk, and they move him to the fucking bunk next to me. So like, this is what I was just saying. So I knew right then, like, this is going to end bad. One of us is getting beat up and we're going to go to confinement. And it was winter, and it sucks to be in confinement in winter in Florida. So anyways, so he's gunning, he's doing his little fucking thing that he does. And they call master roster one night. So everybody goes to their bunk. The woman officer comes out of the officer station. She's like doing her rounds to the laundry. The
same one that he was hooked up with?
Oh yeah, no, a different one. But he's already on this one. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And anyone can get it with this dude. So she's doing her rounds, and when they do that, when they're done counting and then they do their walkthroughs, they tell you to relax, where you don't have to sit up. You can lay down in your bunk until they clear count. So I lay down, I'm on a wall corner bunk. So I face the wall. I'm just laying there. And I like hear all this commotion, like people saying shit, or like you could just tell something was going on. So I roll back over, I look, and the dude that's sleeping on the bunk next to me is literally sprawled out on his bunk, The lady's in the back laundry room, like doing something, bent over, and he's gunning her down on his bunk in the middle of the day room. And this is what I roll over to look at, right? When I'm like, you know, waking up. So I was just like, bro, like I just lost it. You know what I mean? So like I didn't say anything. I just acted like I didn't see it. I put my shoes on and then we just started going at it right there. So I forget how long we fought. It wasn't long because, you know, they don't last long in there. But I got the best of them and they came in, they sprayed us, they handcuffed us, they take us out of the dorm. They take him like to medical. I'm walking across the compound. The warden's doing like checks, or I don't know. He was out there, so he thinks like I'm AB, and this was like, you know, something more than it was. So I just told him, I'm like, look, the dude's a fucking predator, and this is what happened, and da 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 da. So I ended up going to confinement for that. He's in confinement. The whole confinement wing is talking shit to him as we're doing our confinement time, saying, "You let that white boy beat your ass, da da da. You soft, you know how it goes."
Yeah. Now you're a target. It's almost putting a target on your back now.
Yeah, now you signed me up for another confinement stint because now he's gonna feel some type.
Yeah,
so that's what happened. We got out of confinement, and I just went right up to him like, "Look, bro, it's a dead issue. I'm not like fuck what all they're saying. Like, is it good or are we good? Because like I don't want to be on a prison with somebody I got to worry about." So we kind of just squashed it at that point. I know I didn't like him again. You know what I'm saying? But so that was like my first experience. And I kind of knocked everything out at once. I got in a fight. I fought a booty bandit, which you never want to do, a gunner, and, you know, just some piece of shit. His name was Dirt, if that tells you anything about him, man. When you're named after Dirt, you're a piece of shit.
Done a few Dirts.
Yeah.
Dirts, doo-doos, wee-wees, Pookie. Yeah. So when was it? When did you get released from that?
The last, when I got released last was August 1st, 2014. So I've been out, you know, quite a while.
Right. So you got out, but now you've got a job now, but you're also running the DOCTV813 channel.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, so, which is funny because when you first did it, it was just DOCTV, and then you added the 813 because there was like another DOCTV.
Yeah,
right?
There was like 10 of them. I was like, fuck. That's my luck, though, man. You know, it could be raining pussies, and I get hit in the head with a dick. You know.
So how's it going? I mean, I see your stuff like that's how we got hooked up. You sent a comment to me saying, "Hey, I just started this channel. If you want to be interviewed, or you know, whatever." I forget what it was, but
yeah, I saw you on Dateline like 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, wow, this is a story. You know, I'm in Tampa. It was in Tampa, and it sounds like something I would do if I had the opportunity. So it was just crazy, like how I saw you on YouTube. Well, you were all over at that point, but yeah. So I started the channel. You know, when I got out, things weren't great. You know, struggled a little bit. And during that process of, you know, I'm a personal trainer. I'm certified in like 4 different things. So I train people privately, online, do shit like that, and then do YouTube, and then I do some other stuff too. But during the process of getting to that point, you know, I struggled. There was, you know, different shit in life. You know, it's not easy.
No, especially getting out. You get out. You're a multiple felon. Just got out of prison. Being a felon is bad enough, but just got out of prison, that's an extra stigma. Got to find a place to live. Nobody wants to rent to you. You know, got to find a job. Nobody wants you to work there. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's all these things. Get out with virtually nothing. Yep. You know, how many years? Your last prison
Well,
bit?
the last one I did was only like 18 months.
Okay, well, 18 months still. Half your stuff's gone.
Yep.
Stolen from everybody you know. Stolen from all your buddies.
Yeah.
All your buddies immediately come in and steal from you.
Yeah.
Like you're lucky if you have some clothes left. I mean, it's you know,
it's hard, man. Yeah. And then, like you said, the job thing, and that's really what drove me to the YouTube thing. So I used to work, you know, in commercial gyms, PT manager. Like I was good at selling it, not so much. I didn't really like training. But so I, you know, would have people use my record against me. I had a dude that owned a gym tell me, I said, dude, you owe me like fucking $1,800. And he's like, no one's going to believe you. You're a felon.
Yeah.
So like, what do you do? So you
did a video on that guy.
Yeah. So, I had him on a phone call recorded. Yeah. I did a video. I put it on my YouTube, and it was like, kind of, then I was just like, man, like I was always looking in my life for something I can do on my own. I don't need anybody to do it, and, you know, create a revenue source from it. hopefully. And,
well, and there are tons of guys, not tons, but there's quite a few guys that are making like good money doing prison. Just they went to prison for a year or two, or 6 years, or 5 years, and they're just interviewing other guys, and they're talking about prison, and they're doing great.
Yeah. And that's kind of like what made me want to start it. You know what I mean? Is just to help maybe somebody that's struggling. But there was a bunch of reasons, honestly. I wanted to work for myself. I don't want to go back to prison. I don't want anybody to go back if they don't have to. And then, man, all the corruption that goes on in the system, like you can literally do nothing and get a life sentence. It's like, it's that simple. Like, I
was just thinking when they added up your pills, like the way even the pill system in Florida, the way they weigh it, they weigh the pills to determine what your minimum mandatory is, and it's like, okay, so you can have like an Oxy 50 can weigh, or an Oxy 80 can actually weigh less than like an Oxy 20. Even though it's got more milligrams because it's a different manufacturer.
Right.
So, and you get charged more for the 20 than you do the 80, even though this is way more potent. Yeah. It's just weight. It's like,
and they do it like Vicodin is hydrocodone and acetaminophen they put together. Well, if you get an Oxy 30, it's just oxycodone. But now you have a pill that doesn't do shit to you, and then you have a pill that can, but you're going to get more time for the Vicodin because it has all that acetaminophen. So when they weigh it,
right, it's heavier.
It's filler. So you're going to get more. It's just, man, it's just crazy. And and I, want to expose it. And then I started making the YouTube and doing editing and all that. And that's kind of cool too. And then I'm learning that. So it's a process, man.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, you got anything else?
Yeah, go check out.
Yeah. Tell them what to expect on your channel.
Yeah. Right. What is your channel?
What do I do?
Yeah, what do you do? What's it about?
So on my YouTube channel, I bring people on that I've been in prison with, that I know that have been to prison, or random people, to share their story, so they can get their voice out there and talk about the corruption and all the shit that goes on, and more importantly, just to see that somebody can be, with nothing in life, have no, drive to do anything good, and then can turn their life around. Like, look at you and me, for examples, you know, who would ever thought we'd be sitting here doing this? But I talk about my story on there, which you guys heard a little bit of that today. And I cover crime stories. I do a bunch of different things, but go check it out. It's on YouTube, DOCTV813, and smash that subscribe button.
Yep. All right. Well, this was Josh, and check out his channel. And I appreciate you guys watching. And if you liked the video, subscribe, share the video, hit the like button, hit the bell for notification. Do me a favor and leave a comment for the algorithm. And see you.